Did you know that typical solar systems turn off when the grid goes down? Sunlight Backup is an industry-leading capability that allows limited electrical loads to continue operating when the grid goes down without battery storage. With Enphase, it's automatic and seamless with most household appliances. This is Danny with Enphase Energy. In this video, I will cover Sunlight Backup and required equipment. As long as there's adequate daylight and not too many loads connected or on at the same time, a Sunlight Backup system keeps essential appliances running during a grid outage without the need to install batteries. Sunlight Backup is ideal for homeowners that want basic daytime protection from grid outages. To deliver power at night or under cloudy conditions, adding battery storage is best. Aside from a solar array, the equipment needed for an Enphase Sunlight Backup system is IQ8 microinverters with cabling. They work with or without the grid when the needed additional equipment is present. You'll need an IQ combiner box that has an enclosed IQ gateway with production and consumption CTs, a wireless communications kit, and a cell modem. You'll need an IQ system controller too. This disconnects you from the grid during an outage. Then you'll have the Enphase system shutdown switch for emergency events. For the source circuits, be sure to use hold-down kits and compatible breakers in the combiner and system controller. And though IQ load controllers work with all backup equipped site configurations, Enphase requires at least one for Sunlight Backup sites to help manage and prioritize backup protected circuits. You can install 2 of these per system. Also, you will need a locally sourced load center used as your sub panel that will serve all of your Sunlight Backup protected circuits. Here's a quick demo of a Sunlight Backup system in action. First thing I'm going to do is turn on several backup protected circuits. So this would indicate my first circuit. Typically that would be your internet equipment. Most of the time we'd suggest that you set that to manual mode, meaning that it'll operate whenever the power is available from your Sunlight Backup system. The second circuit here, we would typically recommend that you had that on schedule mode, meaning that it would run from like 10 a.m. till about 4 p.m. That way you have enough power from the sun to keep on these slightly higher power loads versus your internet equipment. Now what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to add a light. This light simply indicates the state of the grid. So right now the grid is up and running. It's a little bit hard to see it, but the little disc there is spinning, and that indicates that we are consuming power. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and simulate a power outage by turning off power over here in a service panel. And you'll notice the moment that the grid went down, the system immediately shifted or disconnected from the grid, and it's supplying backup power directly from sunlight without any battery storage. Now in this case, it's before 10 a.m. or after 4 p.m. if you want to call it that. So my scheduled items, which is here is my second circuit, actually is off. That will only operate from 10 to 4 p.m. in my example. And the primary circuit, or circuit 1 here, that will operate whenever possible if there's enough sunlight. Now if the grid returns, all of my circuits will come back on, and you'll see here that the grid's going to return with the red light indicating that. Okay, so the grid has returned, and it's going to take a minute or two for the system to detect that the grid's operating within range and everything is stable, and then the system will reconnect to the grid. Okay, so now we're back on grid. All of our grid-tied circuits and our backup protected circuits are online. Now at this moment in time, I'm going to kind of show as if it's the middle of the day. I've got my circuit 1 that's up and running. Now this one's set to run whenever possible, and the second one will only run between, let's say, 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. because that's how I've configured it. All right, so what I'm going to do is step over here and turn off the utility power. and you can see that the grid went down. The utility meter has stopped showing any power getting consumed, and both of my loads, or all of my backup protected loads, are now up and running, being fed directly by the sun and our IQ8 microinverters in a sunlight backup configuration. I'm going to turn off the PV system to show you that there's no battery storage or other power source being used. The grid's still off, as shown by the red lamp being off. So here I'm turning off the PV system, and our system's powered down. In the morning, when there's enough sunlight, a manually configured or always on load would come on as soon as possible, and then scheduled loads would come on as you set it. For example, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. In this case, both loads should return at the same time because it's between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. I'm kind of doing a midday example. It takes several minutes for the system to resume operation and to power your sunlight backup loads. All right, the system has resumed operation. I turn the solar system back on in this case, but it will, when the sun resumes or the scheduled time begins, the system would resume operating and power your sunlight backup loads.